Ever wondered how some solopreneurs manage to achieve more in a day than others do in a week? Today, I'll unravel the game-changing productivity habits that have powered my success story so that you too can make every moment count. I'm Mark, and this is the Mr. Productivity Podcast, the podcast that's all about solopreneur productivity, simplified and delivered weekly in bite-sized 30-minute or less episodes. Now, before we dive into the heart of today's episode, I have something special to share with you. Every month, I host a live masterclass aimed at helping you increase your productivity as a solopreneur. We've covered a wide range of topics so far, everything from gaining clarity in your work to effective daily habits, decluttering your workspace, maintaining health and wellness, mastering time management, how to achieve deep focus, and we're just getting started. If you're looking to ramp up your productivity and achieve more as a solopreneur, these masterclasses are a treasure trove of insights and practical tools. Just head on over to my website, mrproductivity.com/masterclass, and sign up for the next one. Mr. is all spelled out, M-I-S-T-E-R. Learn from these interactive sessions, engage with a like-minded community, and transform the way you work. What are you waiting for? Visit mrproductivity.com/masterclass and sign up today. All right, let's get started. So for solopreneurs, productivity is pivotal because they single-handedly manage various facets of their business. Maximizing efficiency propels their ventures forward and ensures a sustainable work-life balance, preventing burnout in the absence of a traditional team to delegate to. So there are many things to unpack on this episode of the show, but let's start with the significance of productivity habits for solopreneurs. Now, solopreneurs can't afford to be unproductive because they bear the entire weight of their business on their shoulders. Unproductivity can lead to missed opportunities, stagnation, and increased stress with no team to pick up the slack or share responsibility, potentially jeopardizing the longevity and success of your venture. The right habits act as the foundational pillars of a solopreneur's daily operations, ensuring consistent effort, focus, and adaptability. They create a structure to maximize efficiency, improve decision-making, and prioritize essential tasks. Over time, these habits compound, where consistent, positive actions lead to exponential growth and success, while negative or inefficient habits can cause stagnation, repeated errors, and eventual failure. So let's dive into some key productivity habits. First one I want to talk to you about is time blocking. And if you're not familiar with time blocking, here's what it is. It's a productivity method where individuals segment their time, their day, into designated fixed time periods or blocks. That's why it's called time blocking for specific tasks or activities. By allocating specific blocks of time to certain tasks, you can structure your day more efficiently, reduce the risk of multitasking, and ensure that you allocate sufficient time to high priority tasks, resulting in more focused work and better time management overall. Now, time blocking is important for several reasons. Number one, focused work. When you dedicate specific, there's that word again, chunks of time to singular tasks, you can immerse yourself more deeply and avoid the pitfalls of multitasking. Number two, prioritization. Time blocking forces you to think about your most critical tasks and ensure that you allocate appropriate amounts of time to them, thus helping in prioritizing tasks effectively. Number three, reduces procrastination. With a set time to start a task, it becomes harder to delay or defer it. Number four, efficient use of time. By visualizing, mapping out your day, you can identify and minimize wasted time slots. Number five, work-life balance. By allocating specific blocks for personal time, breaks, leisure, you can ensure that you don't neglect personal well-being for work. Number 6, reduced decision fatigue. When the day is planned out, less mental energy is spent deciding on what you should do next, leading to increased overall productivity. And finally, number 7, better estimation. Over time, you will become better at estimating how long tasks take, leading to more realistic scheduling and less feelings of being overwhelmed. In essence, time blocking promotes an organized, intentional approach to both work and personal tasks, ensuring that each day, is used to its fullest potential. Now, here's how I use time blocking. I have switched the way things go in my life because I want to see what works, what doesn't, and report to you. So right now, I am in a time block to record this episode of the podcast. When I'm done, I can't see my schedule right now. I have another block of time that is going to be reserved for a specific task. Now, I am one who schedules their time in 45-minute chunks. I've tried 30 minutes. I've tried 50 minutes. I've tried 90 minutes. I've tried an hour. For me, 45-minute works. It may not work for you, so you're going to have to do some experimentation. But if you look at my Google Calendar, you'll see 45-minute block, 45-minute block, 45-minute block, so on and so forth. I even schedule lunch for 45 minutes. I don't take 45 minutes to eat, but I just allow a 45-minute block of time. If I end early, I go do something else. But I prefer 45-minute blocks. That's how I personally do the time blocking. One word of caution, don't overthink this. Try different things, experiment with this, listen to me, try this, tweak this, kind of like an a la carte, but don't overthink it because that is going to paralyze you. All right, let's talk about the 2-minute rule. No, we're not talking about the 5-second rule. They're not related. The 5-second rule is when you drop something on the floor. If you pick it up within 5 seconds, it's not dirty. It's still dirty. Okay, this is the 2-minute rule. The 2-minute rule is I love simplicity, a simple time management technique popularized by David Allen in his book, Getting Things Done. The rule is straightforward. Again, don't overthink this. If a task will take 2 minutes or less to complete, do it immediately rather than putting it off until later. Let me say it again because it is so simple, you might have missed it. It's a task. If a task takes 2 minutes or less to complete, do it immediately. Don't put it on your to-do list. Don't schedule for later. Just do it. By promptly addressing these tasks, you can reduce your to-do list. I love that. And prevent small tasks from accumulating and becoming overwhelming. You've been there. You know what I'm talking about. And gain a sense of accomplishment that can spur motivation for larger tasks. Now let's take that information I just gave you and hop on over to another favorite topic of mine, prioritization. So there's many ways to prioritize the task you have to do every day. One of my favorites, which I honestly don't do intentionally on paper because I do it in my mind, but I want to go through the exercise. I'm being transparent on the show today, but I want to go through it so you understand it. It's called the Eisenhower box. Again, don't overthink this. Don't go, Eisenhower, what did he say? A box? How big's the box? Is it how many millimeters? You're overthinking it. 4 quadrants. So if you want to have a visual, draw a square on a piece of paper, draw a horizontal line in the middle and a vertical line in the middle. One quadrant, we'll call it quadrant 1, is urgent and important. We'll put that in the upper left-hand corner. The upper right-hand corner would be quadrant 2, not urgent but important. Quadrant 3, lower left, would be urgent but not important. And quadrant 4, neither urgent nor important. So here's how you use the Eisenhower box. You list your tasks, or you probably already have a list of tasks you want to do, and you categorize each one. Where does it go? Quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, or quadrant 4. Now, if it goes in quadrant 1, well, you do those tasks immediately because those are urgent and important. If you determine a task is quadrant 2, you're going to schedule time to do these. And maybe if you invest time in these now in quadrant 2, you can reduce the chance they will go into quadrant 1, which means they're urgent and important. If you classify them as quadrant 3, urgent but not important, consider delegating these tasks if possible. If you can't, evaluate if they are a real necessity. And then if the task is categorized by you as quadrant 4, neither urgent or nor important, well, maybe get rid of it. Or maybe put it aside and see if the world doesn't end. If the world doesn't end, then you can get rid of it. I'm a big fan of eliminating things that you don't need to do. Okay? So determine which quadrant your tasks need to go in, quadrant 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then take the appropriate action. The 80-20 rule, also known as Pareto principle, is a concept suggesting that 80% of the outcomes or the outputs results from 20% of the causes or inputs. Now, it's named the Pareto principle because it's named after an Italian economist, Vilfredo Pareto, who observed that 80% of the land in Italy was owned by 20% of the population. And now this principle has been applied across various domains. Now, in a business context for solopreneurs, this might mean that 80% of your profits come from 20% of your customers, or that 80% of the problems are caused by 20% of the processes. When you recognize and leverage this principle, it can help you focus your energy and resources on the most impactful task, leading to increased efficiency and effectiveness. Now, I have been saying on my podcast for a very long time and on social media, my email newsletter, from the stage, you as a solopreneur or an entrepreneur should spend 80% of your time on needle moving activities. Got that right from the Pareto principle. Now let's talk about eliminating distractions. I talk about this on nearly every episode of the podcast because I need to say it over and over and over and over again. Let's start with multitasking. Multitasking and context switching, when you're switching between tasks or the context of a project, while it's perceived to enhance productivity, it comes with significant costs. Listen to these 8 costs that multitasking and context switching costs you. Number 1, decreased productivity. Contrary to popular belief, multitasking can reduce productivity by up to 40%. I think that number is kind of low. This is because the brain isn't truly doing tasks simultaneously, but is rather switching between tasks rapidly. You think you're doing them at the same time, but it ain't happening. Number 2, cognitive load. Each time a person switches between tasks, the brain has to reorient itself, which uses up mental resources, leading to quicker cognitive failure. That sounds ominous. Number 3, reduce quality. Juggling multiple tasks often results in more mistakes because attention is spread thin. Number 4, increased time. Research indicates that context switching, especially in complex tasks, can cause a task to take up twice as long to complete. Did you catch that? Twice as long to complete. Number 5, memory impairment. Multitasking can impair the brain's ability to store memories efficiently, affecting both short-term and long-term recall. Number 6, increased stress. Continuous task switching can elevate stress levels, releasing stress hormones like cortisol. Number 7, lost flow state. Multitasking can prevent individuals such as yourself from entering a flow state, a mental state of full immersion and focused concentration on a task. And number 8, decision fatigue. More decisions are made when you are multitasking, which can lead to decision fatigue, impairing the quality of choices made later on. Understanding these 8 costs of multitasking should, number 1, scare the crap out of you, but underscores the importance of focused, single-tasking work sessions and managing interruptions, especially in jobs and situations where deep concentration and quality outcomes are essential. Now, staying focused, especially in our digital age filled with constant distractions, can be challenging. Here are some tools and strategies that can help you maintain and enhance your focus. Now, here are some tools to start with. The Pomodoro Technique apps. Now, you can get a tomato timer. You can use the timer on your phone. You can use an app like Focus at Will, which you can actually set a timer, say play music for 25 minutes, and the bell goes off. These will help you break work into focused intervals. Typically, the traditional Pomodoro Technique method is 25 minutes of focus, 5 minutes of break, but there are no Pomodoro police. You can do any time you want that works for you. Also, there are website and app blockers. There's apps like Cold Turkey, Freedom, Stay Focused. There's Focus on Mac and iOS. These can block distracting sites or time them out, which you need a password to get back in. If you use a site like this, don't have someone else set the password for you, because if you know the password, then there's no sense even using the software, right? Number 3, focus music platforms. There's Brain.fm. There is a website called Noisly, Noisli.com. They provide background music and sounds. I use Apple Music. I've got a playlist called Writing Music. I will also play rain. I will also play thunderstorms. The whole point is to get your brain something to latch onto instead of the barking dog next door. Number 4, there's task managers. Okay, there's To-Do List, there's Trello, there's Notion, there's iOS reminders that you can categorize in Google Calendar too, or Google Keep. The list goes on and on. There's literally, I could create a podcast episode talking about nothing but task managers, but I think that would be kind of boring and repetitive. But these help you keep everything in order, and then you can prioritize. And the 5th tool is digital minimalism tools. Digital minimalism tools. Easy for me to say. There are tools called Off Time and Space that can help you unplug and take breaks from smartphone use, or you don't even have to get an app. You can actually put your phone on mute and then leave it inside and then go outside. It's amazing. It doesn't cost you anything, right? Here are some strategies. Number 1, single tasking. Commit to doing one thing at a time. Thus the name single tasking. This means resisting the urge to check your phone or email constantly. Now, if this is a video podcast, which is not, I would go right now, pick up my phone, but you wouldn't understand that. So we're just going to skip that. Go to number 2, prioritize tasks. I already gave you some suggestions earlier on how to prioritize tasks. Use the aforementioned, that's a fancy word. I usually don't say that word. Aforementioned Eisenhower box or the 80-20 rule to differentiate. My lips are not working today. Differentiate, there we go, between what's urgent and important. Number 3, mindful breaks. Instead of diving into distractions during breaks, practice mindfulness, deep breathing, or simply just take a walk, preferably in nature. Number 4, a clean workspace. A decluttered workspace can often lead to a decluttered mind. Organize your physical and digital workspace regularly. Not once a month, not once a week. What I teach is if you're in your work area at home and you're going to go to the kitchen to get some water, or you're going to take a break, take the stuff with you. Take the garbage, take the glasses, the plates, the knives, the forks. Take them with you. Don't wait till the end of the day or the end of the week or for the cleaning crew to come in. Do it as you're leaving the office. You're there. Just take it with you. You're going to the kitchen anyways, right? Number 5, set clear boundaries. If working from home, set clear boundaries. These boundaries are for your family members or housemates, but they're also for you. Okay? They're also for you. I'm a big proponent of having office hours and sticking to your office hours. But again, they're not just for them, they're also for you. Number 6, limit notifications. Turn off non-essential notifications on your computer and smartphone to avoid frequent disruptions. Now, I am not a zero notifications guy unless, like I'm recording a podcast episode, my phone is on complete airplane mode because I don't want anything to disturb me. But sometimes I want my inner circle to be able to get through. You got to determine, but you don't need them all on. That's the bottom line. Number 7, we already mentioned this, time blocking. Practice time blocking. If you've never done it, don't try to perfect it. Just say, oh, you know what? At 2 o'clock this afternoon, I'm going to spend 45 minutes reading, put it on your calendar, and just build on it. Again, don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. Just learn how to time block. It's not that difficult. Number 8, regular exercise. Physical activity has been shown to improve brain function and concentration. I've been a daily runner, at least 1 mile every day since August 29, 2017. You don't have to run. You can take a brisk walk. You want to elevate the heart rate. You want to break out into a mild sweat. You can swim, you can ride your bike, you can lift weights, but you need to exercise every day. Number 9, a healthy diet. A balanced diet can boost cognitive functions and concentration. Foods rich in omega-3s, antioxidants, I love them blueberries, and certain vitamins like B and D are known to aid focus. My wife and I recently got a 3x4 genetics test, not a sponsor of the show. And then from there, we went and invested in a dietitian because we need to know how can we live our optimal life. You are worth spending money on yourself to do the right thing. So don't get all your information from this podcast or any other podcast. Go seek a professional. And finally, number 10, adequate sleep. Ensure you're getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, as lack of sleep and rest can significantly affect your focus and cognitive function. Now, not only should you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep, you should get 7 to 9 hours of consistent sleep. Try your best to go to bed at the same time every night and get up the same time every morning. I know you can't do this every day of the year. I know things happen. It's called life. But as much as possible, please be consistent with your sleep. By incorporating a combination of these tools and strategies, you can create a personalized approach to bolstering your focus and reducing your distractions. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wow, Mark, that's a lot. That is a lot. Well, the good news is we're done with the episode. But even better news is you have a ton of information and you can listen to this episode as many times as you want. Okay? There's no limit to how many times you listen to this episode. So maybe you listen to this episode on a walk or a run or on a bike ride, and you couldn't write down any of these things. Well, the good news is you can listen to it again and take notes. It's amazing, right? I like to give you lots of information. I look at it like a buffet menu. And you can go through the buffet line and you can say, I want some of that, I want some of that, and some of that. But here's my challenge to you. Out of everything I just gave you on the episode today, I want you to pick one thing that you are going to start doing. Just one thing. I gave you a lot to do, but just pick one thing. I don't care what that one thing is. It could be I'm going to start using the Eisenhower box to prioritize my tasks. It could be I'm going to start going to bed at the same time every night. It could be I'm going to start taking breaks. Whatever that one thing is, I want you to commit to doing it for 90 days. 90 days. Every day, because you're not going to be able to do it every day. Some days you're going to forget, some days life's going to happen. But commit to doing it every day and get a friend to do it with you. And speaking of friends, if you found value in this episode, and I'm guessing you did, you listened to the end, would you do me and them a huge favor and share this episode with them? Just go ahead and share it with them and say, listen, this great episode got a lot of strategies, a lot of good information about how to be more productive. Y'all need to listen to it because I will thank you now, and they will thank you after they listen to this episode. The final thing I want to say to you, don't forget to head on over to my website, MrProductivity.com, MISTER, MrProductivity.com. There you can find out about my next live masterclass. You can read my blog. You can find out about my one-on-one coaching. Anything you want to know about me, Mr. Productivity, is at MrProductivity.com. Thank you so much for your time and attention for listening to this episode of the Mr. Productivity Podcast. I'll be back real soon with a brand new episode. But until then, remember, stay productive, but stay positive too.